Aloha! Today I'm going to show you how to make your very own abstract collage landscape. Let's get started. My name is Linda Meyer and I'm an abstract artist. I've spent a lot of my life working three-dimensionally with various media including clay. And over the last few years I've gone two-dimensional with all sorts of different media. What I enjoy most about collage is that I can arrange and rearrange the pieces over and over again until I'm satisfied with the composition. I have a confession to make. I still possess my childhood passion for playing with art, using my imagination to create, make a mess, and hopefully end up with something that looks kind of nice. And I have a feeling that since you're watching this, you might feel the same way. So here's a landscape collage project that's fun and easy and that will allow you to express your own creativity and end up with a great result that is all your own. And once you've made one, well, the sky's the limit. You can use your imagination to come up with many more. This project is going to be equally successful with both high-end and inexpensive school-grade artist supplies. You'll even be able to use some things you may already have lying around the house. So no matter your skill level and no matter the supplies available to you, I'm confident that you can create a beautiful collage that anyone would recognize as a landscape you'll be proud to share with your friends. So, for the supplies, first you're going to need acrylic paint, blue and yellow. These are artist quality acrylics. This $5 set of acrylics will work just as well. You should be able to find them at your local discount store or online. And for a palette, I like to use white plastic lids. White so that I can see the true color, and I like the ridges on the edge. They keep the paint from spilling. And, of course, a container for water. And you'll need something to apply the paint. Now, I love nothing more than browsing through my local art store and drooling over the hundreds of very expensive paintbrushes. And you can use those paintbrushes if you like, but perfect paint application isn't necessary for this project. And I worry less about glue damage when I use something like this particular filbert that's part of a 5 brushes for $5 set. And you can also use any old paintbrush that you might have lying around the house, or even a kitchen sponge. PVA glue of any sort is required for applying the collage pieces to the background. Artist quality matte medium, less expensive Mod Podge, craft glue, Elmer's white glue or Elmer's school glue. All of those will work just fine. You can even use Elmer's wood glue if you don't mind the yellow tint that it will add to the project. You'll need a pair of scissors, optionally a hair dryer, and a few sheets of printer paper. So let's get started. The first step is mixing the paint colors. We're looking to create various blues and greens, so we'll start by adding a little dab of blue to each palette, and then some yellow to one of the palettes. And don't worry about making mistakes. If you don't like what you're seeing, you can wash your palette and start over. We're not talking about a lot of paint here. So I'm adding a bit of water to the paint to create a wash. And then I'm going to apply it to the bottom portion of the paper with abandon and no particular plan. The wilder, the better. Just all over the place. You may be wondering why I'm not using watercolors. And that's because acrylics are actually plastic, and when we apply the PVA glue, the paint won't tend to smear even the tiniest little bit. Next, I'm adding a bit more yellow to get a brighter green, and a bit more water. And I'm actually going to be using a different brush. just to show you that it doesn't really matter what you use to spread the paint. Just spread it all over the place. So now I have two slightly different greens. Next, it's time to create some blue. I'll rinse my brush and mix up some dark blue using a little bit of water. And notice how I am overlapping the blue and green to get a dark blue-green color in there. You never know, that might be useful in the landscape. Now I'll add some more water, and I'm going to use the sponge to create a really washed out blue. And I'm going to overlap a bit with the green for a little bit more interest. Don't worry about wrinkling the paper. That could actually be a positive thing here. And if you've got my kind of patience, well, you can use a hair dryer to get these sheets dry. You could always practice some Zen and wait an hour or so. However, I don't have that kind of patience. So the next step is going to be to tear the paper into horizontal-ish strips. And I'm stressing the ish. We aren't looking for perfection here. In fact, we don't want perfection. Again, once again, messier is going to be better. That's part of the fun of this whole project. Now comes the fun part, laying down the strips to form a landscape. A couple of hints. Darker colors come forward and so are good for the foreground or for the bottom of your landscape. Lighter colors move to the back and they make good distant mountain ranges. And of course, bigger is closer and smaller is farther away. So that being said, the process can be a bit frustrating, even for the experienced. There are so many possibilities. Do I start with the ocean, move up to the land, then the distant hills, and then the sky? Do I start with the land and create overlapping rolling hills? And then some mountains? Does this even look like a landscape? All artists ask these questions as they are going through their creative process, or at least most of us do. So your frustrations put you in some very talented company. There always seems to be a point in your creation where everything goes wrong and you're a bad artist and the whole world sucks. But then the light emerges, I promise. It does every time. I'm just beginning to get to the point here where I think I might have a clue as to what I might be doing. So I'm going to continue on until something emerges that's looking not too bad. Well, let me try a few more things. Okay, could be okay. I like the idea of overlapping hills here. So I'm getting to the point where I think I might have something that looks okay, but I'm not 100% sure on it. So Yep, we'll try this, that. Nope, not quite, maybe. Time for the magic viewfinder. Basically, what I'm going to do here is take another piece of 8.5 by 11 paper and cut out 2 L's. Now I can frame my composition this way and that to see if anything looks like an actual landscape. First, I'm going to try portrait mode and see what appears. Maybe a horizontal composition will work a little better. Let's find out. I'm thinking this kind of looks okay. I see some rolling hills in the foreground, and that darker part at the bottom is either some foliage or a shaded dip. And the sky is blue. It's all one color, which is not ideal, but it's one of those clear, deep blue sky days, so I'm okay with it. So for adhering the collage pieces to the paper, I'm going to use a little bit of glue mixed with a little bit of water. The glue needs to be distributed all over the paper, both underneath and on top. So just keep brushing until everything is thoroughly affixed. So now I'm going over the top of each piece, brushing out the wrinkles as best I can, unless of course wrinkles is a feature that you're looking for in your landscape. This is art and creation, and despite the fact that I'm giving you some specific instructions, anything that you think looks good is what looks good. So I am putting the glue on top of the paper as well as underneath to make sure that it's thoroughly attached. And this doesn't need to be a very thick mixture. I'm thinning it down with quite a bit of water because we're just gluing on copy paper, and that's pretty flimsy stuff. So over and over again, and notice how, because this is acrylic paint, the colors are not running at all. Yep, that looks pretty good. And I even see a couple of little white clouds in the blue sky, so I'm kind of happy with this. So now you can either let it dry or you can use your handy dandy hair dryer. Oh, it looks like I need to just make sure it's thoroughly attached here. And then I'm going to pull out the handy dandy hair dryer and dry it till it's not quite dry. It doesn't have to be completely dry. And then I am going to flatten it between a couple of sheets of parchment paper. Anything that's non-stick can be used. I have also used leftover priority mail envelopes, the flimsy kind that are basically made of Tyvek. They work very well too. I'll cut off the edges here just to neaten things up a bit so it actually fits in between the pieces of parchment paper. Nothing fancy yet. So an old cutting board. And a couple of books. And overnight it should be flat. Now that it's dry, we can cut out the final composition. One check just to make sure exactly what I want that composition to be. And I will cut it out. I am using an old quilting mat board and an X-Acto knife. A pair of scissors will work just fine as well. And you don't have to cut this to any specific size, just the size that you think looks good. Okay, so once we've got that complete, we can mount it onto a mat board. And I'm using artist quality mounting tape here. Painter's tape will work also. I'm creating 4 small strips. And then I'm going to make X's by putting sticky sides together and placing them at each end on the back side of the collage. Sticky sides together. And then I will paste it to the mat board. And you can either measure or eyeball, but the way I figure it, eyeballs are going to be looking at it, so eyeballs are good for placing it. Now I will use a standard 9x12 frame and place my collage inside. So there you have it, a framed abstract collage landscape. If you have any questions about this process, please email me at the address on the screen. And if you'd like to share your abstract collage landscape, go ahead and tag me on Instagram at InstaAbstractArt. I'm always amazed and delighted to see your creative projects come to life. And if you enjoyed this project, I hope to see you in one of my upcoming Cultivating Creativity workshops. Mahalo!